Hola, mi amigos. Yo soy St.Christopher, and this is The Writer's Block, a book review show where I tell you if a book is good enough that I would recommend it to a friend, or so bad that I would chop it in half with an axe. Today on The Writer's Block, A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Well, bless my cauldron, we have a third installment of the book. We are back with our favorite fae, Feyre, who is now in her conniving bitch era, as she is brought back to Springcourt and tries to turn Tamlin and Lucien against each other. She does so by feigning flirting with Lucien to upset Tamlin, getting all mixed up in a tent. Oops, oh, we were all tussled about, I hope nobody saw. She eventually escapes back to the Night Court, where the book takes a steady nosedive headfirst into the ground as the dynamic between Rysand and Feyre slowly dissolves into a sweet puddle of nothing, like a sugar cube in the rain. This book also stands on the diving board and then takes a gigantic belly flop as it tries to be smutty and sexy. Feyre wants to take a bath, but Lucien has magic powers and he snaps his fingers. All of a sudden, she's clean, but she still wants that bath because the bubbles are ever so inviting. So she hops in the bath, and then there's a line where she's like, "Well, I washed myself knowing Rhys was eyeing me. I spent more time washing some parts than others." Like, what is she washing? Her ass? She's already clean, and he's just like peeking in the door while she runs a washcloth through her butt crack like floss for 15 minutes. There's one redeeming character in this entire book, and it is Feyre's sister Nesta. When Nesta shows up, she's the only normal character. When asked about her situation, she gives the most based and level-headed response that anyone has given in 2,000 pages. When talking about becoming a fairy, she says, "What do I care? I get to be young and beautiful forever, and I never have to go back to those synophanic fools over the wall. I get to do as I wish, since apparently no one here has any regard for rules or manners or traditions. Perhaps I should be thankful for you dragging me into this." Finally, somebody who gets it. It is not the end of the world if you become a fae. Older sister vibes. With the relationship between Rhys and Feyre, it just gets ruined, where there's this like beautiful power dynamic of this kind of mentor like helping his young apprentice who's also his lover and his mate. But then he just turns into a soft puddle of loving goo and goes, "Feyre, I didn't just miss having you in my bed. I missed you as a friend." Yuck. Next, he's talking to Lucien going, "I loved Feyre before she loved me. You have to understand that, Lucien." Yuck. Finally, like to top it off, he's like, "Feyre, I don't just want to rule this kingdom. I want to rule it together. As equals. We should have an equal partnership." Yuck. Yeah, why don't we just throw our entire setup of power dynamics right into the trash? For the writing of this book, it is pleasantly surprising as always. There are a couple of good zingers. They're having a big discussion. And just like how Tamlin imprisoned her and wouldn't let her develop her powers, Feyre is very protective about her sisters. The council of the Night Court wants to use her sisters as weapons in this upcoming battle. And she says, "I will not let my sisters be pulled into this. I've already done too much to them." And someone goes, "You sound just like Tamlin." Ooh, I had to go get some aloe vera from the store because that was such a sick burn. Unfortunately, these quippy little lines are all sandwiched between 2 Bibles worth of exposition dumps. We have a character that can read people's minds, and yet every time we need to talk about the history of the world, instead of invading their minds and getting a first-person look at what went on, we just have people talk in a circle. They do that sometimes. They did it at the beginning of the book. We flash back, we saw the battlefield, so I don't know why they can't incorporate it more often. It would be much more immersive. What I will say though is she does a great job coloring the dialogue. Instead of, "He said this, she said that, so-and-so quipped," as they curled their lips to caress their hurtful words. It is not just like throwing you out to the dogs and making you survive. They are leading you along and giving you a good idea about how these people are talking, but there's just a lot of it. My final gripe is with the character of Feyre and her loose morals. Now, you could say that as she becomes more powerful, she has a change of morals. It happened from book 1 to book 2, but this is within like 100 pages. At first, she invades somebody's mind who's her enemy. She kind of brainwashes them, gives her nightmares, completely mentally screws them, and then, I believe, mutilates their hands. And then just 100 pages later, we hear about a character who knew about some people who had tortured her. And so they cut out the person's tongue so they couldn't say their names, and then they crushed their hands so they couldn't write their names. And Feyre is absolutely appalled. Oh my God, how could they do such a thing? As if she didn't just do that 100 pages earlier. Kind of loose character morals, takes me out of the book. So goodbye, Fairy Darling. This book does not make it off the block.